Hello and welcome to a special edition of Metra Home Theater Tech Tips. I am Brent McCall, broadcasting live from my living room, and with me is...
Adam Rogers, and I'm on the phone.
Adam is remote with us today. We are doing extreme social distancing. So as I said, this is shot live from my living room. So the potential for fire, pain, death, and destruction is incredibly high today. But it's going to be entertaining, that I can promise. So today's topic is Fiber Friday. We want to talk about the different kinds of fiber, what you need, when to use it, how to use it, and where to go for the future. So let's dive right into it, because I am sadly without Adam here to bounce comments off, and it's a little odd. So we're going to get going right away with a little bit of history into fiber. Now, old man, it's obvious with the gray hair, I started installing fiber in the Disney Celebration homes back in the 90s. This was in giant bundles with Category 3, coax, and other stuff, but we really didn't know what and why, but we did go to class for fiber. And back in those days, it was OM1 or OM2. Now, it required polishing, you had to check stuff, all kinds of testing. It was time intensive and frequently not very reliable. And I can promise you that pretty much every inch of what we pulled is still dark. But what you see here are the specs for OM1 fiber. Orange case, simple, not a ton of bandwidth, but more than adequate for the time. That was then replaced with OM2. Same color, a little bit more bandwidth, typically 2 at a time because that's generally what you needed for transmit and receive. Then in the early 2000s, they realized this was not going to work for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's LED based. They needed something that could work with a finer beam, something that was laser based. That's where OM3 came from. OM3 changed the jacket to blue, and it also gave you a lot more distance and a lot more bandwidth because it was laser based versus OM1 and OM2. Now we also have OM4 and OM5. And you think, wow, that's going to give us lots more bandwidth, right? Higher number. It's not really bandwidth it gives you, it's distance you can travel with that bandwidth. That is what improves with OM4 and OM5. So residentially, that's not really an issue. OM3 does everything we need to do bandwidth-wise and distance-wise, because it still goes 1,000 feet. Residentially, SOHO, and most industrial facilities. So you don't have to worry about quickly jumping into an OM4 or an OM5 fiber because you really don't need to. So let's get into what makes fiber work. The advantage we have now is multi-mode. And when you look at this graphic right here, what you're seeing is the 3 different primary ways to send data down a fiber cable. The top one is multi-mode, and how it works is you have a variety of different lasers at different angles shooting into the fiber. There's a cladding on the fiber that reflects those lasers very precisely. And the angle that it is read at the receive side is what data stream it is. Now, this is nice because with this multiple data streams, you can send RGB and clock down a single fiber. The drawback to that is you're limited to, say, 1,000 feet. Single mode fiber goes kilometers. So you can go a whole lot further. The drawback with single mode fiber is there's only one transmission you can send at a time. So if you're doing Ethernet, for example, which is send and receive, you have to have 2 different fibers for that same distance, an outgoing and an incoming, just to do the basics. With multi-mode, 1 fiber will do it all. Now, what does this mean in our world? Can 1 fiber do 48 gigabits? Because there's 4 streams, D0, D1, D2, and D3. Currently, no. The electronics limit it to 10 to 25 gigs per channel. So this is actually capable of a total of 25 gigs with multiple lasers. So if you're going to go to 48, for example, you still need a duplex wire. That's 2 wires. If you want to go to 100, which is the future, you need 4 to do it. You want to do 100 on this one, you're looking at 10 wires, but you can go a really long way. Now, in our world, basically all we use is LC terminals. And this is important because when you're starting to pull this fiber and terminate it, what terminal you select typically is based on the equipment you purchase, but at least in our world, again, it's an LC terminal. SC is still used commercially. MTP we don't see very much of. ST actually goes back to the days of portable electronics like the Sony mini disc player. And you'll see it as a plug on Mac computers and iPods for their digital outs. FC is an older connection. I don't think you're going to see any of that in our world. And even though there's only a few primary physical types, there's 16 variations within those types. So there's a lot going on there. Stick with LC, be on the safe side, number 1. Now, all of the links, all the information we're talking about, Adam is going to post the links for everything I have gotten today on our YouTube channel, so you can see all this information. It's not like I'm this brilliant. I did a lot of research, and there's a lot of good links to get more information on this: time frame, bandwidth, width, how far you can go, diameter, pull radiuses, bend radiuses. All the things that you will need to know in the field are incorporated in all of these links that Adam will post. And on that note, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, send us money, flowers, and chocolates. We are not proud. Now, Metra Home Theater does carry the primary types that you need to do your job. And what do you need? We sell Simplex and Duplex. So what does this mean? Well, a Simplex is simply one piece of wire, just like a piece of coax. A Duplex is 2 pieces of fiber, like a Siamese coax or Siamese Cat5. The advantage of this one right out of the gate is, number 1, you've got send and receive for high bandwidth networking. Number 2, if you're using our current 4 gig extender over fiber, you have a spare, and it's always good to have a spare. And if you pull 2 duplexes, you're already prepared to go to 48 or 100 in the future. Give yourself some growth room. Pull boxes are the way it comes standard, so it's easy to feed. Fiber does not tend to kink up the way coax or category cable does, so it's an easier pull. But there are some things to know. When you're pulling fiber, simplex or duplex, do not pull hard around studs or trusses. I recommend getting the easy pull nylon pulleys to hang on the trusses, so when you're pulling around you maintain a nice radius, or have somebody there to help you. Do not take tie wraps and tie them up tight to the rafters. You do not want to create stress fractures in the glass. That will absolutely diminish range and possibly affect your bandwidth. Now, there's a lot of things to do to terminate all this. And at Metra, we carry all the parts and pieces you need to do the job. The terminations, LC and SC. The cable, simplex and duplex. The termination tools, the cutting tools, the stripping tools. Everything you need to do it, the test tools. And we do have an incredible kit that allows you to have everything in one box and do it. And by the way, because Adam's not here to say it, and he always does to remind me, ask your questions. Let us know what you're thinking. Tell us what's going on. Give us your thoughts. And Adam will ask me those questions if he hasn't already answered them on YouTube. There are a couple of things we do recommend that you have. If you are doing a projector or you're working on a ladder, a standard cleaver like ours will be a problem on the ladder. There's a lot going on with this device, and it's great for doing the job, but it's not a good ladder tool. This is. We do not sell this, but it is readily available on the internet. Grainger, CES Supply, places like that will carry this. It's an excellent tool for when you're working up high without a lot of flexibility in your cable. Adam, anything so far?
Well, Ellen just would like to know if you want daisies or if you like a different type of flower.
I do prefer orchids. preferably Hawaiian, Hershey, which is a dark brown orchid. It blooms 4 times a year. It's beautiful. I do see lots of interactions going on there. Thank you.
So there is a couple things that we're discussing in the chat right now. One of the things is anyone installing fiber right now, and what kind of fiber are they doing? So far, we're hearing back that what they are doing is they're running dark fiber, and what that means, of course, is that they're running the fiber, just not utilizing it yet. Which is still definitely something that even we recommend in our new constructions. You want to take advantage of and do have the fiber there. You know, it's relatively cheap compared to knocking open the wall later on, and it's there and available so that in the future when you need the added bandwidth, you can use it.
Absolutely. And again, if you pull at least a duplex, if not 2 duplexes, you are good to go for 50 or 100 gigabits of bandwidth based on current specs and current electronics. So there's a lot of capabilities there. Now, I took a call the other day, which is funny because Adam and I had just been talking about it. Gentleman had an HD base T system and something happened to the brown pair in the category cable. And it's like, well, there's really nothing you can do to get around that. However, if you're going to have to take the crown molding down to put in new wire, don't. Put in a fiber optic cable in AOC. He said, oh, I already have one of those, but it quit working. We're not sure what happened. We think it was a lightning strike or a spike. It's like, perfect. Stop right there. Don't take anything apart. Because what you can do with an AOC cable is you can take that cable apart, cut the ends off of it with the requisite tools, strip it back and terminate it with an LC terminal, and you now have a full 4K HDR extender using an existing AOC because it has 4 OM3 fibers in it. At least ours do. This way you are good to go well into the future with an AOC cable that you install today. And if you have not already viewed it, Adam has an excellent YouTube tutorial on how to terminate bulk fiber cable on our YouTube channel. And 2 Fridays ago, when we discussed Fiber Friday the first time, it was in fact about taking an AOC and using it now and turning it into a high bandwidth capability for extenders in the future. I see a lot going on there, Adam. What else do we have?
A couple other questions, and actually there's 2 things to point out. The first question is, are we working on outdoor fiber? So Jesse's already responded to that, and basically what it comes down to is we have access to just about any type of fiber you're looking for. So please let us know what it is that you want out of that. But also we are working on the possibility of bringing on a direct burial fiber, and that's something that we are starting to get more and more of a demand for, and so we are looking closer at that.
Fantastic. What else, Mr. Rogers?
So one thing that we learned this morning, when I was on a training call this morning actually, is that when you have OM2, 3, or 4 fiber, the terminations are interchangeable. Now, they're interchangeable up to a certain level. When you have, just like if you have a Cat 5 or a Cat 6 and a Cat 6 cable, when you use a Cat 5, you know, let's say you have Cat 6 in the wall, but you've got Cat 5 as a jumper to go from the wall to whatever device you're using, well, that Cat 5 becomes the lowest common denominator, and it'll slow everything down.
Yes,
so
it will.
If you're trying to use an OM2 fiber with OM3 terminations, that's fine. Just you're going to have OM2 data rates and OM2, you'll have to use OM2 media converters. Now, if you're using an OM3 fiber and you're using an OM4 termination, it's the same process. You're going to be stuck down to an OM3. So the connections that we sell, the LC adapter and the LC connectors and the SC connectors will work on OM2, 3, or 4, but just remember that whatever device is the lowest common denominator will force everything down to that level.
Absolutely, just like resolutions on HDMI when you're sending it out through a non-scaling splitter to multiple televisions. If you've got a 1080, a 4K, and a 720, and they're all turned on, world's going to 720. Fantastic. Anything else, young man?
Nothing else has come through at the moment. Do you have anything else that you'd like to plug?
Actually, yes, I do. We've got some, hopefully next week, Em and I will be back in the studio, social distancing still, but side by side at the table. I believe next Wednesday is Techs and Reps again?
It is no, that is next Friday.
Okay. Next Friday is Deep Dive, JVC, and us.
That's right.
So what is Wednesday, sir?
That next Wednesday, at this point in time, I think we are still working on what next Wednesday will be, but I will have that information. As soon as I do, I'll post it onto the details of this video.
Then next Wednesday should be what this Wednesday was going to be, which is, are all cables the same?
There you go.
So
we'll
next
talk
Wednesday,
about
join us. What actually makes one HDMI cable better or different than another HDMI cable? Because if you read some of the consumer forums, you know, CNET and AVS, they're going to tell you that all cables are the same. They're wrong, and you guys all know that because you've all experienced the problems. So we're going to discuss what actually makes one better than another and why you need to spend the money for a proper product, but that doesn't mean a lot of money. Any other questions, needs, wants, or desires, Mr. Rogers?
No, I am good on my end. I think we covered everything that we needed to cover. So from there, I'll leave it to you, Brent, to go ahead and say goodbye to everybody.
Fantastic. Again, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, also send us flowers, candy, and money, mostly money. We're not proud. And thank you for joining us. And most importantly, at the end of the day, what do you always do, Adam?
Remember to reboot your devices often.
Reboot early, reboot often. Thank you for joining us at Metra Home Theater Tech Tips. I'm Brent, and with me is?
Adam Runners.
And we're out of here. Thank you.